for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and welcome, Administrator McCarthy. Thank you for the good job you're doing, Ms. Froelich, as well. I have 3 issues. I'm going to see if I can talk fast and get them all in. But one is about fracking in my home state of New York and upstate New York. It's a big point of contention. Some say it'll create lots of jobs. Others are worried about the safety of it. Some argue that the EPA's real goal is to prevent or slow natural gas development in the United States. Some say that additional studies aren't necessary given industry's long track record of using this technology. So how do you respond to those things, and how will the hydraulic fracking study help achieve the objective that it's supposed to achieve?
Well, the President, I think, has made it clear that the process of fracking has really opened up opportunities for clean natural gas, but it has to be done safe and responsibly. And what EPA is doing right now is the research it needs to do to understand what the potential impacts are to groundwater, as well as looking at what technologies are available to support the recapture of methane, so that we're addressing that as an intensive climate warming compound, and we'll keep working through these issues. But we're trying to establish the science foundation that we can share with the outside community to ensure that natural gas is done safe and responsibly.
All right, thank you. I have a very parochial issue involving my district. It's the Hillview Reservoir. And in accord with Federal Long-Term 2 Surface Water Treatment Rule, the EPA sought to have New York City build a concrete cover over the Hillview Reservoir in Yonkers. My district goes from New York City through Yonkers. That reservoir is in my district. I was one of several members of the New York delegation that wrote to Administrator Lisa Jackson urging a waiver of the regulation as it applies to Hillview, and EPA subsequently agreed to initiate a review process for the regulation requiring covers on reservoirs such as Hillview. So I'm wondering if you could please provide me with an update, or at least get back to me on the status of that review process.
I do know that this issue has come up to everybody's attention, that Region 2 is working with New York City on it, but I'll provide you an update on how the rule is being looked at.
There are just some mandates that just don't make sense. They're very costly, and the benefits are very, very minor compared to what the cost is.
We're just trying to get at the public health impacts, and if there's a better way to do that, we'll be wide open.
All right, thank you. And my last one is about revolving funds. States are able to provide low-cost financing for a wide range of water quality infrastructure projects through the Clean Water and Drinking Water State Revolving Funds, and New York has received lots of money through the years to protect our watersheds and make upgrades and repairs to our sewer systems. I certainly support all of that. But despite these investments, EPA's most recent drinking water infrastructure needs survey indicates that New York will require approximately $29 billion over 20 years to ensure continued delivery of safe public drinking water. New York has aging sewer and water systems. They're in desperate need of repair and upgrade, or they will pose significant environmental and public health problems. So I think that's important. It also represents an economic opportunity because we can put several thousands of New Yorkers back to work over the next several years helping to do that. But yet, when we look at the President's FY 2015 budget, it proposes a $580 million reduction to the state revolving funds from this year, and I think that's not obviously very good. So I want to just say that. And I want to also ask you, setting aside environmental and public health issues, please explain the economic and jobs benefits of investing in water infrastructure, and tell me how these cuts to the state revolving funds would impact these benefits.
Yeah. We have had to make some difficult choices. Clearly, the state revolving fund is important for public health as well as for jobs. I mean, clearly it keeps people employed, it prevents major illnesses from occurring, it helps protect our rivers and streams and natural places. So it's extremely important, but the choices we needed to make are ones that I know that you will consider strongly. But we had to look at how we've been capitalizing this fund, what opportunities there are for the revolving fund payments to be in the system and also supporting this effort. and also recognize that this administration over the past 5 years has already invested $20.7 billion in SRF. That compares to 8 years of history in the prior administration where $17.2 billion has been invested. Now, that doesn't mean that me individually wouldn't like to see lots more money to this effort for public health purposes, and certainly because of the economic growth. But there are difficult decisions to be made. We did the best we could, and we'll certainly listen to what Congress says.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. At this time, I recognize the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Olson, for 5 minutes.
I thank the Chair. And Ms. McCarthy, I'd like to keep the conversation going that my colleague from Ohio, Mr. Ladd, had about NAAQS, National Ambient Air Quality Standards, and ozone. America has come a long way in improving air quality.